obviously tragedy in every way. And Mr. Cristo has been impacted more than any human ever should. I wish I could give her what she wanted, could be her son back, but there's no way to do that because...
Right out of gate, the judge is doing something important here, acknowledging the human loss before the legal math begins. This isn't just procedure, it's the court recognizing irreversible harm. But notice what comes next. Sympathy does not erase accountability. That's a theme you'll see echoed throughout the sentencing.
The plot that you guys did participate in. But when I look at the actual roles of what was done, and I look at the assistance that was provided, I think what your attorneys are asking for is appropriate. So, as Mr. Godwin, in accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, you're hereby judged guilty of accessory to commit murder, category C felony. I'm going to impose the $25 administrative assessment fee, $3 DNA collection fee, $150 DNA fee, as well as the test. You're hereby sentenced to 24 to 60 months. Nevada Department of Corrections, suspended for a period not to exceed 24 months. During that time, you're subject to the standard terms of probation as well as the digital search clause. Continued participation with the Vegas Strong Global program.
This sentence may sound lenient at first glance, but let's be clear. Suspended prison time with strict probation means one mistake sends you straight to prison. No contact orders, digital searches, zero tolerance for substances. This is a court saying you're free, but on a very short leash. Would you consider this mercy or risk?
You're to have no contact with your co-defendants, including your brother, and you're to consume no alcohol, 0%, or drugs to include marijuana. You are released from high-level electronic monitoring. Your reports of PNP within 48 hours. As to Ms. Dennis, you're hereby judged guilty of count 1, voluntary manslaughter with use of the deadly weapon, count 2, robbery, count 3, conspiracy to commit robbery. I'm going to impose the $25 administrative assessment fee, $3 DNA collection fee, $150 DNA fee, as well as the test.
Now we're seeing the contrast. Unlike the accessory charge earlier, this defendant is convicted of voluntary manslaughter with a deadly weapon, a massive escalation. Consecutive sentences here mean time stacks, not overlaps. This is where legal language quietly translates into years of someone's life.
As to count 1, you're sentenced to 4 to 10 years on the voluntary manslaughter portion. For the use of a deadly weapon, I've considered the factors laid out in NRS 193.165A3 inclusive. We'll fix that at a consecutive 4 to 10 year sentence. As to count 2, 4 to 10 years concurrent. As to count 3, 2 to 5 years concurrent. That is suspended for a period not to exceed 5 years. During that time, you're subject to the standard terms of probation. Additionally, you're to have no contact with your co-defendants, no alcohol or drugs, and you are to obtain a GED or high school diploma. You're hereby released from high-level electronic monitoring and report to PNP within 48 hours. As to Ms. Gonzalez, you're hereby judged guilty of count 1, voluntary manslaughter with use of a deadly weapon, count 2, robbery, count 3, conspiracy to commit robbery. I'll impose the $25 administrative assessment fee, $3 DNA collection fee.
You will not get a second chance. Judges don't say that lightly. This is a courtroom equivalent of final warning. 1 foot outside the system, 1 foot already back inside. At this point, every defendant knows the stakes couldn't be higher.
$150 DNA fee as well as the test. Count 1, voluntary manslaughter, 4 to 10 years, Nevada Department of Corrections. For the use of a weapon, I've considered the factors laid out in NRS 193.165A3 inclusive, and we'll fix that at a consecutive 4 to 10 years. As to the robbery, I'll sentence you to 4 to 10 years, Nevada Department of Corrections on count 2, concurrent. As to the conspiracy to commit robbery, I'll sentence you to 2 to 5 years, Nevada Department of Corrections from concurrent. That is suspended for a period not to exceed 5 years. During that time, you're subject to the standard terms of probation as well as the digital search laws. No contact with any of your co-defendants. No alcohol or drugs to include marijuana. Obtain your GED or high school diploma. You're also to continue the counseling in the CCDC. You are released from custody to report to PNP within 48 hours. Good luck to all of you. You will not get a second chance.
Thank you, Your Honor. You do have to do a restitution.
So welcome back. And state anything you wanted to say regarding Ms. Gonzalez.
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Township.
I know my client would like to address the court. I don't know if you want her to do that now or if you want her to wait until after I've spoken.
Go ahead, Ms. Gonzalez. What do you want to tell me about this crime?
This is one of the most emotionally complex moments in the hearing. A juvenile defendant admitting fear, manipulation, and silence, but also accountability. The question courts wrestle with here is huge. How much weight do you give to age when the consequences were deadly? There's no easy answer.
I want to say good morning first, and I do want to start off by sending my condolences to Anita for the loss of her family, and for the loss of her son, Darian Alexander Gonzalez. I want to say that I'm not a bad kid. Before being arrested, I was a full-time scholar at Democracy Prep Agassiz campus. I had no prior educations in the juvenile system. Since being arrested, I have completed several classes, and as of today, I am maintaining a GPA of a 4.0. I've learned valuable lessons throughout the course of me being in custody. Yes, I did lie, being evasive and hesitant to provide answers asked by both detectives leading the case, simply because I was scared for the safety and security of my family as well as myself. For those people sitting on the bench, I'd do anything to keep them safe. Even if it meant keeping my mouth closed on the situation. The night that the incident occurred, I was grabbed very roughly and threatened to stay silent. But I asked myself, what's the point of being quiet if I have a voice? I do take accountability for my role in participation. I had no idea anybody was going to get hurt. I was easily influenced and manipulated. I was 15 years old when the incident occurred. I'm now 17. March 4th of 2024. I was not arrested, I was rescued. I've made magnificent changes that will stick with me throughout my life, my entire life. And I know if given a second opportunity, I'd make it my mission to do as much good in the world as I possibly could. Even though I know
I'm going to start by telling you that I'm going to ask for probation as well. I would echo what Mr. Fumo said, that is certainly an uncommon request given the gravity of the charges in this case. But I would also tell you that this is clearly an unusual case, and without a doubt, from my perspective, Daisy is truly a unique client. I've appeared in front of you a lot. I've argued a lot of heavy cases. I think you know that I care a lot about the people I represent, and I want them to have the best representation possible. And I don't think it's any small thing to say that I care more about Daisy and the outcome of this case than probably any other case I've ever handled in my career. When I got this case, I got a booking photo of a kid. And it was a kid. I had kids the same age. And I had the opportunity to meet her and spend time with her, spend time with her family. This is a kid who's endured a lot in life. And it's a weird situation because whenever we find a child in the criminal justice system, we have to wonder how they got there, right? And when you look at Daisy's past, she's overcome a lot of hurdles without even knowing she was experiencing them. Like, she's had the ability to look back in hindsight now at what she's gone through.
Defense attorneys rarely speak like this unless they're making a calculated plea to the court's conscience. This argument isn't about excusing the crime. It's about reframing the defendant as someone shaped by circumstances, not defined by one night. Do you believe the justice system should prioritize rehabilitation here or punishment?
She struggled with parents that were in and out of custody, family members that went to prison, people in her family the victim of the worst types of crimes we can imagine. She was exposed to substance abuse at a very young age. Her mother had a problem with addiction. And I will tell the court that this is one of those rare circumstances where I think this arrest and confrontation with the criminal justice system is the best thing that could ever happen to not only Daisy, but her entire family. She's got a lot of family here today. If you're here for Daisy, raise your hand. I think there's over a dozen people in the courtroom, including her mother, who got sober as a result of this case and has been here for every part of it. I have constant contact with her. Her great-grandmother is here. And if you want to know a little bit about Daisy, it's not just her family members, because they're all here. Cousins, aunts, uncles, sisters-in-law. We expect family to be there for a loved one in the criminal justice system, but if you want to know a little bit about Daisy, I'd ask you to consider who else is here for her. She had a counselor at school. Her letter is attached, I think, as Exhibit 2 to my sentencing memorandum. She's here today. When Daisy was in custody, she befriended a young girl who had a lot of developmental disabilities, read, wrote, and performed life's functions as a 6-year-old, but she was also in the juvenile justice system. Daisy befriended her, she mentored her, she spent such time with her, and it was so impactful to her and her family that her mom is here today. I would suggest that that probably will never happen again in your career as you sit here on the bench. When confronted with what happened in this case, I want you to consider how Daisy got there, first of all, because she's not a planner of the robbery. She's not a participant in the violence. She had no clue violence was going to happen that night. And when she first went to Darian's house, she had no clue he was going to be robbed. Very clear, we talked about it in this case, it's discussed in our sentencing memorandum, Daisy was aspiring to be a musician. She's very talented. She's shown me what she does in the musical world, and I would tell the court she's very talented.